On the planet Bellassa, parts of a secret new weapon are being built by the Empire. Darth Vader and Grand Moff Tarkin are present to make sure the secret stays a secret, and they are joined by none other than the former Jedi apprentice and rebel leader, Ferrus Olin. But is Ferrus Olin really on their side, or is he a double agent, trying to save his planet and steal the Empire's plans? Ferrus must guard the secret of his own allegiance, or become yet another victim consumed by the dark side.
Welcome back to the Padawan Library, the galaxy's only Star Wars junior novel podcast. I'm Levi Peretic, and with me, my May man, Tim May.
Indeed! I'm here!
This week, folks, we are reviewing Book 7 of Jude Watson's Last of the Jedi, Secret Weapon.
Not to spoil anything, but folks, we have yet another banger on
this
deck.
This bang so hard. So hard.
This is just, oh god.
There was a moment of genuine shock as I was reading
yeah,
this book.
I know what you're talking about. We'll get to it. I was in utter shock. Anyway.
And the end of the book is so crazy.
There's so much crazy shit. We'll talk all about it. Before we get started, I have an important message that I need to deliver from friend of the show and brother of Tim, me, Dan May. I've had him record a correction for us for last week because we had discussed during the Galaxy of Fear discussion, we discussed the Bomar monks in Jabba's palace, and I think we both maybe heavily implied that they were an origination of Galaxy of Fear, but
they're not.
But they're not, and they have a long storied history apparently. So Dan, here's Dan correcting our dumb ass.
Like you, I'm sure, I was utterly appalled last week when I heard that Tim and Levi didn't know about the Bomar monks, something that any true Star Wars fan understands perfectly. But for those of you that don't, I guess, the Bomar monks are an order, or at least in Legends, I don't know what they're doing in the new canon, but the Bomar monks were an order of monks who, to seek spiritual enlightenment, separated themselves from their bodies. And, of course, Tim and Levi learned about this for the first time through this Galaxy of Fear book. But really, the first time they appeared was in Return of the Jedi. C-3PO runs away from one of them. And then the first time this is expounded on in an expanded universe source is the Illustrated Star Wars universe. My first exposure to them was in Tales from Jabba's Palace, in which Bib Fortuna is forcibly turned into one of them. His brain is removed from his body, and he is forced to live in a spider for the rest of his days. But, yeah, everybody knows about the Bomar monks, right?
Oh, thank you, Dan. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. We need more corrections like that all the time. Saves us from actually doing any research. Not that we barely do any research on this show.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So, Anyway, yeah, I feel bad about it, but it's fine. The Bomar monks, a long and storied history in Star Wars legends. Mm-hmm. So, there's not much really to talk about. No real Star Wars news. But there is a big movie trailer that came out. We're not going to talk about the DC fandom, one of the dumbest names of all time, by the way. We're not going to talk about that at length because we're going to talk about the one movie we actually care about, which is the Matt Reeves Batman movie with Robert Pattinson, which has a trailer based on, I believe they said, 20 to 25% footage shot. Something like that.
Wow.
That's it. So the trailer is very limited in what's able to show, basically, which is kind of clear. You can tell they've probably shot one major sequence and a bunch of incidental stuff. That seems to be. And at first, the first moment of the trailer, I was like, oh, they're doing a slow. Oh, that's Something in the Way by Nirvana. Great. I'm not a fan of that trope in trailers of having songs, but I gotta say, I was just you know what? I like Batman, and exactly. There was a lot of stuff in it that I was just fuck. I forget sometimes that I just I fuck with Batman. Batman's a cool guy.
Dope. Batman's the greatest. So,
and Robert Pattinson looking I like that he's going with the painted eye look, first guy since Keaton to do that. I feel and looking very young Depp in that trailer, and that
he does look very young Depp.
And then Colin Farrell looking unrecognizable.
Oh, I didn't even notice him in the trailer.
I didn't notice him either. I didn't notice him either, and then I watched it again, and I saw them. I was like, "Oh, is that the Penguin?" I was like, "Isn't Colin Farrell playing the Penguin?" And I was like, "That is Colin Farrell." I can't believe it. So I'm excited for him. Paul Dano's the Riddler.
Farrell, so.
Yeah, and it looks like it's going to be a detective story. It doesn't look very action heavy. I don't know if that's just they haven't shot any major action stuff yet.
Right, yeah.
But it doesn't really look that action heavy, so I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I'm just looking forward to see a Batman movie that I actually think looks decent. It's the first time in forever since Rises, basically. So I'm excited.
Yes. It's very much they're going with that realism that Nolan had, but they're toning up the gritty. It seems
Yeah, and it's a little more gothic, the vibe. Yep. We'll see. Jeffrey Wright as Jim Gordon, great casting. Love that guy. So we'll see how it goes.
Zoe Kravitz showing up as Catwoman. I kind of like what they're doing with Catwoman there.
Yeah, I was expecting maybe more the Darwin Cook outfit with the goggles. Kind of, but I guess that's kind of what they did with Anne Hathaway.
Yes.
So they might want to switch it up, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Zoe Kravitz, I like her a lot. So
we got over a year still. So
yeah, October next year, right?
I think so. Yeah.
They're supposedly going to start shooting again next month. They're shooting in London, so there's a better chance that they'll actually start shooting than a lot of these American productions.
Right.
But so we'll see how it goes.
Now switching gears to another fandom topic. We should talk about the other Batman movie that's coming out, Flashpoint.
Oh, that actually I do want to talk about. I don't really want to. I'm not interested in talking about the Snyder Cut or even Wonder Woman, which is supposedly coming out soon. So I'm looking forward to it, but who knows when it's out. Anyway, so. But yeah, this Flash movie that's supposedly going to have Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck.
Right.
What? Listen, I really when the rumor or the report a month or two ago came out that Keaton might be reprising his role in a Flash movie. I was like, I cannot think of two things together that it's one thing makes me so excited, and then the next sentence I'm like, ugh. You know what I mean? It's it's Michael Keaton's playing Batman again, and then it's in a Flash movie, and oh no, so it's gonna be a multiverse. Listen, I'll be excited to watch Keaton play Bruce Wayne. That's my favorite. He's my favorite Batman by far.
He's the best.
By far. So I'm excited to see him play the character, but honestly, why bother? You know what they should do? Just make an old man Batman movie, not Dark Knight Returns. Come up with a new story. Mm-hmm. Make an old man Batman movie with Keaton. Bring back Tim Burton. He's kind of on a semi-hot streak again. Finally, They worked together on Dumbo just last year. Like, bring the team back. That's what we all. That's what you and I want.
People would freak out about that. My dad would be so pumped for that. Like, he would lose his shit for that. But did you see the concept art that they put out for that?
Yeah,
So we will get Keaton in the suit. So it seems.
Yeah, which I'm like, that seems weird. Like,
So
because I doubt that Affleck will be in the suit. I think Affleck is the only way I will do this is if I can just not get back into Batman shape.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Just
Pat. I don't know. I was about to say, I wonder if we'll see any others. But, Pattinson, that seems to be so gritty. It would be.
And also, Reeves is, has been the whole time been this is not connected to anything else. He's clearly, that was part of his contract.
Oh, I know who they could get that would be perfect for, a split moment. If they are going through multiple verses, Clooney. Clooney should come back.
That'd be great. They should
bit joke.
They should get Kilmer too. Why not? Kilmer has his autobiography coming out this year.
Kilmer's had a rough time.
I know.
I feel for Kilmer. So
I know. But get him back. Let him have a one-shot cameo. If you're gonna do this, just fan bullshit, which is all it is.
If you're doing that, you need 100% need to have a cameo from Chris O'Donnell and Alicia Silverstone.
Agreed. I can't believe. By the way, we are not even mentioning the idea of Bale.
I know, right?
Because there's a 0% chance. He would just be no way.
Yeah, I know, right?
There's there is zero chance that he would do it, which I respect him for that. But
I do too. I've read things that he's said before about when they're filming Dark Knight and how he just knew that Ledger was blowing him out of the water in every scene and he couldn't do anything about it. And he was so angry about it.
Oh my god!
And you could tell.
Did you see Ford versus Ferrari last year?
No, I didn't.
He's so fun in that movie.
He's great. I love Christian Bale.
I love Bale. I have a very uncomplicated love of Christian Bale. I'm just saying, he was awesome in that movie. That movie was a lot of fun, actually. It's worth checking out.
If Bale's in it, I'm interested. So
you should check it out. It's a just solid down the middle fun movie. He's great. Damon's classic, just stoic movie star Damon. So it's perfect role for him. And then very entertaining movie. So anyway,
yep,
it's all happening. But yeah, so I'm excited about Batman. It was crazy to have movie news, a big real news, a real thing, it's a trailer for a big movie. I haven't had that feeling in so long. And then and that movie's only 20% finished, so it's very funny.
That's insane though that they were that's still
it's a pretty well cut trailer considering. Yeah. I think there's that, and then my local theater just reopened. I'm still pretty unsure about whether I would want to go or not. They're doing these private screenings that you can order. You can rent out an auditorium for you and up to 20 people. And it's $150 for a new movie, and if it's an old movie, it's $100. So it's actually, if you get between 5 and 10 people, it's not that crazy. So I'm thinking about doing it for Tenet because I do want to see Tenet, but I don't want to go to a regular public screening.
A packed screening of that. I agree with you there. So
yeah, I don't know, but it's we'll see what happens. Bill and Ted comes out this weekend. Bill and Ted Face the Music, which nothing I've ever been more excited for in my life. I have to say,
I'm very excited for that too. I just showed Mel recently Excellent Adventure. She needs to see Bogus Journey though, which isn't available anywhere right now. So
it's not.
Frustrated. No, it's not on any.
Not even rent or anything.
I'm sure to rent. If I paid for it, I could watch it, but not I can't go on Tubi. It was on Tubi, like no,
Excellent
actually it
Adventure
was on Hulu. Excellent Adventure was on Hulu. Sorry, but anyway, yeah, I'm excited for that flick.
I love those movies, and yeah, the third one. Actually, you and I recorded a podcast about
We did. You showed me Excellent Adventure, yeah.
On our old show, Missing Reels, and I think the first 3 episodes of that show are on YouTube somewhere. So if people want to hunt for them, they can hunt. They might not be. They might not be anymore, because I know YouTube does purges every once in a while of like low like view count shit. So, but if it is there, I mean, we can't be held accountable for anything we said, and it was 6 years ago.
Right, it was a long time
so I'm
ago.
sure we said some like horrible things. I don't know.
Sure, probably, because that's what you do. That's what you do when you're young. You say stupid shit, and then you're just like 10 years later you regret it. So that's growing up.
That's how it is. But I'm excited about Bill and Ted Facing the Music, obviously. They're showing it at my local drive-in, so I'm considering going to that. But I also, like, I have concerns about the drive-in. Like, is it going to be too, like, is the projection going to be shitty? Am I going to get a decent spot? All this stuff. And this movie is very important to me. So
what's it double featured with?
With Beetlejuice, actually.
Oh.
It does make me kind of want to go, because that... Oh, but... I'm going to be coming down from whatever I feel about the new Bill and Ted. Like, I'm going to need to process it. This is like a Star Wars movie to me, people.
Right.
So, like, am I going to want to just rewatch Beetlejuice right away after?
Right afterwards. If it would be different if it was like Beetlejuice was first,
and
Bill and Ted was second.
Sure.
So.
Then it's like, a great appetizer, one of the great movies. And then...
that Keaton Burton, I wish they'd work together again. Like...
Yeah, they should. God, that movie, that's a fucking masterpiece. That's
I agree.
Movie. Anyway, so anyway, I don't know, but we'll see. My birthday's coming up on Monday, so I actually got a fun weekend planned. I'm going to hang out with my friend Michelle. Her birthday's the day before, so we're going to have a joint little small get-together.
Nice.
So that's going to be fun. And Michelle, who... should have at some point been on this show, because she's the only person in my life that actually had ever read any of these books, but just never worked out. It's unfortunate, and we're now well past any material she has any like familiarity with,
any concept of. So
but,
happy birthday!
Shouts to Michelle, happy birthday!
Shouts to Michelle. Shouts to you, happy birthday, and shouts to also friend of the show, Samuel McCulley.
Yeah, his birthday's only 2 days after mine, so like. Yeah, no, those are slightly different friend circles. Otherwise, I'd have a triple birthday party, but that'd be very weird, I think.
I think so, too. Especially if it was that new IHOP, so...
Oh, boy, well, we don't need to get into that new IHOP. Let the fans speculate.
Joke.
Let the fans speculate on that nonsense. That is what Sam and also friend of the show, Brooke, call their new apartment. That's what Brooke especially loves that name, I want to say.
I noticed. He texts me every day about it.
All right. So when I don't think we really have anything else to talk about. So,
no, we don't.
Yeah, when we get back, we're going to talk about a great book, Secret Weapon, Last of the Jedi #7 by Jude Watson. So stay tuned, everybody. Welcome back to Padawan Library. I'm Tim May, here as always with Levi Peretic.
Bonjour, ça va?
There you go. Oh, wow. You're really cramming the French classes.
I got 2 more words in there. So.
All right. So, like we mentioned at the top of the show, this week we're back to Last of the Jedi. We're getting into some level of the end game, I would presume, here. And this is book 7, Secret Weapon. Up front, easily the best cover of the series. I'll say that. Like, I actually think that's a very strong cover, period.
Yeah, I agree.
I actually don't have any complaints about it, which is crazy. Is this the longest one?
Yeah, this one, it was like 140 pages, so this may be like the longest.
I read it digitally, so Which again,
Oh,
if you guys have Amazon Prime, all these books are available to read for free. So
something I will talk about. So we had the cover change the last book, but however, like inside my book of book 6, like the font was all still the same, like in terms of like the chapters, but this book made it different. Like they have like a different chapter heading with like the rebel symbol. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, I see it. Yeah, they had that in the digital version too.
Okay,
I didn't notice it as a difference because I thought it was just like the digital.
Did you notice the guide? Do you have the guide?
Yeah,
to
we
characters?
got the guide to the characters.
Okay,
I thought it was weird that
yeah.
Obi-Wan was up front because I was like, then the whole time I was like, is Obi-Wan going to show up in this book or like
he
have
does
some
not
sort of,
show up?
Does not show up. So Obi-Wan's up at the top of the cast of characters. There's like a kind of what's the dramatist persona at the beginning. So yeah, but
so yeah, here are the characters that are covered. So they have the last of the Jedi, Obi-Wan, Ferris, Solace, and Garen Muln. The Erased, Dexter, Orion, Keats Freely, Kurian. Then we have the Keepers of the Base, Reyna and Toma. And then we have the 11, Roan, Donna, Will, and Dr. Amy. Oh, and then we have some more. Ferris's friends and allies, Trevor, Clive, Astri Odo, and Loon Odo Divinian. So,
right.
But it doesn't cover any of our evil characters, our bad guys.
No, it doesn't. So it's not a full dramatist persona. But I think, though, we might as well just jump right in because the last book ended in a very, very dark place.
Dark.
Where Ferris was working as a double agent for the Empire, right side by side with Darth Vader. He had just sent Trevor along with with Flame, who is a very rich person who wants to help unite all these rebellions on different planets. Sent them to a nearby planet from the conflict from the book that is immediately then dominated by the Empire, taken over by Bog Divinian again. Bog Divinian, Astri Odo's ex-husband.
Mm-hmm.
So, Trevor's feeling some doubts about Ferris because he sees on the holo that Ferris is right there next to Vader. And so that's kind of where we've left everybody kind of in that place. Severe doubt about where Ferris is, and this book you'd think is all about confirming that Ferris is just a good guy and there's no problems and there's nothing to worry about.
That is not the case. We'll get into that. These books continue to surprise me so much. The book starts off with Vader and Ferris, and this continue to reads like an office workplace situation because like right at the beginning of the book, Ferris says something to Vader like, "Oh, I'm just looking up. I want to know what my my orders are." And well, there's this whole thing with a code cylinder. Vader has this little data. It's like a USB port, his code cylinder, and Ferris realizes that like Vader leaves it in his quarters, his private quarters, to like download more information on it. So Ferris goes into the private quarters. There's no code to the door. He walks right in, and he's going through the thing, and he sees there's something about a large-scale operation going on, and that there's a project called Twilight. He doesn't know any more information about it, but now he's just like, okay, I have to figure out what these things are in order to like help. Otherwise, I'm just a scumbag of the Empire. But anyway, as he's trying to figure out what's on the code cylinder, Vader walks in. So Ferris plops down in a chair, and Vader says, "To what do I owe this intrusion? The door was open, so I made myself at home," Ferris said, lounging in the chair. "I'm getting bored. I thought I'd pop by and see if you received my orders yet." And Vader said finally, "You will get your wish. The Emperor wishes your presence in the conference room."
Oh, shit.
So meeting in the conference room, office reference, I guess we would call that.
Yeah, There are many workplace sitcoms.
There's many workplaces, many conference rooms. Anyway, so we meet up with Sheev, and the orders are that Ferris is to go to Bellassa, his home planet. He calls his home planet, with Vader, and he is supposed to oversee like what's the word I'm looking for? Like, they're redoing the factories. So, like, currently Bellassa makes, like, textiles, like pottery and stuff. But Sheev, he's like, no, we gotta make things useful for the Empire. So, you need to oversee that and then be the public figurehead for all of this. You need to show up on all the HoloNets so the people of Bellassa know what has happened to their hero.
So, this is obviously gonna, like, make Ferris look like a true scumbag to most of the people he had, won the trust of after his time with the Jedi. So this is a big deal. And meanwhile, while all this is happening, Trevor is sent by... so Flame, Trevor's with Flame, and Flame is like, okay, Trevor, do you want to lead some sort of... You want to go talk to some sort of... the rebellion on Bellassa.
Yes, the 11.
The 11. You want to talk to them and convince them to join up with my big boy rebellion. And so he tells Flame, sure, but I got to stop somewhere first. And he swings by the asteroid where Clive is just climbing the walls. He's like, I can't stand being here except when I get to look at Astri Odo, if you know what I mean. He is so into Astri.
He is so into Astri, but he like mentions how like his charm on her never works.
Yeah, I know.
It's a classic. Like his charm never works on anybody. He thinks he's so suave, and he's not at all. So.
He wishes he was Rick Ollier. He wishes.
And that's something that's cool about this book too. I'll bring up now is like a lot of our secondary characters get chapters devoted from their point of view. So that's a very cool aspect of this book.
And so basically, Clive kind of is our way into the life on the asteroid, what it's been like. And so Astri and Loon, her son, are kind of like, I'm happy here. We're safe here. I'm down with this. And then Trevor shows up on the asteroid. Okay. And Trevor's like, yo, I met with Flame. She's, I trust her implicitly. There's nothing remotely shady about her. Everything about her checks out. And then, this is what he says. And he also says, Ferris is working for the Empire. And he's just like, I know, like, he's a double agent, but, like, can we really trust him? Like, Trevor's kind of doubting it. And, like, everybody there, including, Dona and what's his face? Roan. Mm-hmm. Big, important, Roan, who is, as we believe anyway, to be Ferris's life partner, Ferris's boyfriend, basically. Not confirmed in this book, but again, the way he is written about.
The way it's written is it's like most definitely.
Yeah. So clearly the intention just, it was 2006, man, or 7 or whatever. So, So, whatever. Anyway, so, regardless, Roan and Dona are like, Trevor, like, relax. Like, Ferris is a good guy. Like, it sucks. Like, he has to know, like, I'm sure he, like, feels the weight of the position he's in. So, anyway, Trevor then is like, well, I gotta go to Bellassa, and, like, and so all of them are like, well, and so then Roan and Donna are like, we're going to come back with Trevor to Bellassa, and then Astri and Loon and Clive are all like, well, let's get Astri and Loon to Dexter Jetster on Coruscant to his safe house, because, like, that's just an easier place for them to be, and then the other people that I'm blanking on their names, they stay behind at the asteroid.
Right, including Garen Muln. This whole idea of bringing Astri back to Coruscant is like the only thing that I don't agree with in this book. Like, I felt like...
Well, I certainly don't think it's a good choice.
No, it's not a good choice, and it comes in later in the book.
Yeah, we'll talk about it, but... Yeah,
now, Trevor takes all of them in his ship, and he has to go pick up Flame, and then they go to a spaceport, and that's where they split ways. And there's an interesting moment there where Clive walks up to the table at a cantina, and this is his first meeting of Flame, and he goes, haven't we met somewhere before? And Flame's just like, I've never met you in my life. And Clive is just like, so I really believe we should not be trusting this Flame character.
Obviously Flame is not to be trusted. She's like an extremely rich person who's trying to help people, like in a Jude Watson book. Never to be trusted. So anyway, basically Trevor and them go to Bellassa. They arrive around the same time as Ferris and Vader arrive, and it's shown out on the HoloNet all over the place, all over Bellassa, that it's like, we're here to rebuild your factories, and we got your boy, the Resistance hero, Ferris Olin's here to lead the way, and like there's a scene like in like a bar or something where people are throwing shit at the screen, this traitor, this scumbag, this piece of shit, and so then, you can go ahead.
Well, we'll go to Coruscant, and we'll tell the whole Coruscant storyline. But before that, I'll mention there is a Bogdavinian chapter in this book.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and in this chapter, Bog, he's feeling lonely. He's gotten all the power that he could possibly want. He's the ruler of 2 planets. However, he is so lonely, and what would solve his loneliness? His son. And who took his son from him? That dastardly ex-wife of his, Didi. Not Didi, Astri, sorry.
Didi,
his I'm sure his father-in-law had a true legend.
Didi Odo, R.I.P.
R.I.P. And there's like a moment in here where Didi is thinking about him, and it reads like a eulogy, so I want to read that too. But anyway, so he wants his son back. There's a moment where he calls Sano Sauro, who has been demoted, but he is working on his project to find Force-sensitive children for
He's
the
running
Naval
the
Academy.
Imperial Naval Academy, and there's a program within the Academy to find Force-sensitive children.
And he's working with a new Inquisitor, Inquisitor Hydra, who is Malorum's personal assistant. He has taken Malorum's place. So there's not a whole lot known about this character, but Hydra is coming. Anyway, on Coruscant, we meet up with Dexter, and Dexter tells Solace, Clive, and Astri that Hydra is there, and he has been chasing. There's been reports of a person with powers. So immediately they think it's a Jedi. So those 3 decide to go investigate, see what they can find.
And so they get to Dexter's hideout, and Astri is like, Ferris did so much for me, I have to like help him out by helping to find this Jedi, basically. And it's like, no, Astri, stay there, stay.
Yeah, please.
Like, and even Loon goes with them, which I don't understand.
Well, no, Loon gets put in the company of Curran and what's his name? Not Fleet.
The reporter.
Keats Freely.
Yeah.
Okay, so real quick here, I want to read this little bit that Didi has to say about her father. This is on page
Astri
55.
has to say about her father.
Oh, dang it. Anyway. She couldn't believe what a dope she had been to fall for him being Bogdavinian, in the first place. Her father had tried to tell her in his sweet, bumbling way, but she hadn't listened. A longing for Didi swept over her, almost blinding her for a moment with sudden tears. Her adopted father had always run a scheme, usually behind her back. He had been a gambler who, with loose connection to the truth, who had won his business, a cafe and a game of sabacc. He was an unscrupulous liar with a delightful person and a wonderful father. Dex is alley. Don't make any sudden moves. They can get touchy around here, Solace warned. We're under constant surveillance. Astri brought Loon closer to her. He was necessary to her breath. He was as necessary to her as breath, but she had to admit that he basically made her a coward. She remembered the girl who had shaved her head and gone off with the Jedi, Obi-Wan Kenobi, to track down the bounty hunter. She could hardly believe she was the same person. Now she never put herself in danger. She would never risk her life again. Her life was Lune's life. So
actually, I think that's pretty essential, because I remember, we were happy to see Astri back in the Jedi Quest days, to see her come back, but we were both a little critical of, that this character was, a really kind of, self-possessed character, and, to kind of turn her just into the wife of a corrupt politician, a little bit of a bummer.
Right.
So I think having her acknowledge that change in herself and maybe make a wrong decision to put herself and her son at risk, is a fair enough mistake that I can buy that she might make. Yeah.
And to finish up this whole Coruscant storyline, the gang goes looking for this Jedi character. They find him. Surprise! It's Gal, True Veld's master, and there's this whole thing about where he didn't know what happened. He was on a secret mission that Yoda had sent him on. The Empire, the Republic at the time, wasn't involved, so he was at a cantina when he found out that most of his friends were dead just through the HoloNet. So he's been kind of he made his way back to Coruscant because he wanted to know if True had survived. The one true friend, of course. Yes. Didn't happen. Anyway, which also makes me wonder, because True was at the temple, did Anakin kill the one true friend? We may never know, but it's something to think about.
Not impossible for that revelation to happen in this series, necessarily.
That would put tears in my eyes.
Oh my god! The one true friend needs to, the one true friend should. I wish the one true friend would show up alive.
I do too. That would be incredible.
All right, we'll have to see. But anyway, they find him, and then a bunch of stormtroopers are who have also been tracking him, start chasing them, and then meanwhile, Keats and Curran have been looking after Lune, Astri's son, and he's at a playground, and Lune starts playing around with the Force. Because if you remember, Lune is Force sensitive. Mm-hmm. And, so they're fucked. Stormtroopers notice, of course. And so they have to chase each other. And they all are like, okay, we got to get back to Dex's hideout. And then what happens, but by the time Astri and Clive and Trevor... Or not Trevor.
Solace.
By the time they and
Rygal.
Sorry. By the time they get back to the place where you kind of turn off, because then Lune has been taken by the stormtroopers. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Astri witnesses him being taken by the stormtroopers. So and she of course falls to her knees crying. And later in a later chapter, we go back to Coruscant, and she is determined to get Lune back. She's willing to do it alone, and everybody's like, "Whoa!"
We'll get to that because that's really the end of the book.
That's true. That's true.
So let's go back to Bellassa. On Bellassa, Roan and Donna and Trevor, they all meet up. They all meet up with the 11 back with them. And they're talking, and the leaders of the 11 are like, listen, we trust Ferris, but I think it's maybe a bad move, because it's gonna weaken the resistance on Bellassa. We trust that he's he's doing something to help take down the Empire. It's not like he's not a traitor, but this might not be helpful right now. And so Roan is okay, cool, I'll get a hold of him, we'll talk. And so Roan sends a signal that only he and Ferris would know. Mm-hmm. And so Ferris sees the signal, goes to meet him at a secret meeting place, which turns out to be a restaurant of some sort. And so Ferris has his hood up, obviously doesn't want the people who all hate him now to recognize him. And so he goes to meet with Roan. This is a very romantic rendezvous. and they meet, and there's Donna's like at a nearby table, I think. Too.
Yep.
And so.
And there's a mention. I don't have it like written down where it's at, but there's like a mention that like Ferris like contains his emotions a little bit because Donna is there.
Right.
Like
and there's also another moment when it's like he's talking about like all the people he feels close to. Trevor, as in like his ward, essentially his Robin, and then his Dick Grayson, and then it says Roan, comma his friends, comma whoever else, but like so it's like interesting.
But this is
Roan
something
is separate from the rest of his friends, is my point.
Mm-hmm. And this is also something interesting, too, because something Ferris is struggling with is because he's on this path to become a Jedi again, but he's struggling with Jedi having no attachments. We have a flashback moment with Siri where he asks her about attachments. Fun little character trait about Siri in these books, because this is the second time she's popped up in a flashback. She always is lying down like on the ground with like her feet up on a chair, which is a fun little thing about Siri. But she gives him like we have to care, but we have to like love from a distance kind of thing. We can't grip on. But so that's something he's struggling with now because he has so much care for his friends and Roan and Trevor, so. Yeah.
So very interesting. They talk and they basically make a plan because Ferris is like, listen, I don't want to be working for the Empire anymore either. Like, it's time to cut my losses. Like, we should, let's figure out what's going on. By the way, he also on those files he stole at the beginning of the book that you mentioned, he found what's the project called?
Twilight.
Project Twilight, right? So he doesn't know what Twilight is, but it's a big operation. And Tarkin is here, by the way, at the
Tarkin
on Bellassa.
He's there helping restructure the plants. They got all these scientists who are definitely there against their will, and they learned that they're building like stuff for. They don't know what they're building.
Some sort of false atmosphere equipment. I mean, clearly it's for the Death Star, and so, but so like Ferris is taking that. He's like, let's try to figure out what's going on here. So he's like, so I can. Like, they're still setting up these factories. There's, like, still, like, a way in where we can maybe get some information. So he essentially says, I'll get an opening for us at night where we can have a small team go in there and get some intel, and then I'll escape with you. And you and I, Roan and Ferris will go back to the asteroid, and Roan promises to help him with his Jedi shit, and he says like Bellassa and like the 11 can handle themselves. Like I my job is to help you, is what he says. Like again, like it's just like you and I, we love each other, we're friends, but I'm not like, man, like if you do that house flipping business, it's my job to help you. You know what I mean? That's like
exactly like that.
Yeah.
And they have their signature.
They are together.
And they don't hug, they don't kiss, they don't handshake.
They have their like arm.
They grab each other's forearms. Yeah, they give them a good squeeze.
Yeah,
Now, Ferris meets a character in one of these factories, a man by the name of Russell. Russell is he was the nighttime security guard at the factories. Then the Empire closed the factories, where he became a caretaker, and he's been caring for the garden at the factory.
So
and then
this character.
And he gets rehired as the security guard at the factory, and he approaches this Ferris because he's like, I saw you on the HoloNet, like I don't know, I shouldn't trust you. And then Ferris is like, you gotta believe me, like I am here to help, that kind of thing. So he says, all right, at like 3:00 in the morning or whatever. No, like there's a 30-minute period at this time of night.
15-minute period, like at 3 in the morning, basically.
Yeah. So at that point, that's when Roan and Donna show up. They're looking through files. Trevor also shows up.
Trevor comes because he's like, I can follow orders. Like, I'm good. And like Trevor once again proves that.
Yes. So as they're looking for the files, Trevor decides he's going to go somewhere else to look for information. However, he hears some breathing. It's Darth Vader. So Trevor, he goes and he hides in a locker.
So
Vader...
And in the meantime, Ferris and Donna and Roan have found something. Like, they have some information. They've downloaded some onto, like, a flash drive, basically. Mm-hmm. And so they... and so they're like, but where's Trevor? So they have to go look for Trevor. And Vader is here, and Vader has obviously been pissed about this Ferris situation the whole time. He's like, I don't like this dude. I've always hated this dude. And I'm pissed that, like, Sheev is making me hang out with him. Like, what the fuck is Sheev up to? And so he comes in. He sees what's his name again?
Russell.
So Russell is at his post, and when Vader comes in, he, like, stands up and he's terrified. And, like, Vader's just like, well, like, you seem really nervous. I'm gonna fucking force choke you. And, like, fucking Russell feels something on his throat, and he grabs his collar, and, like, Vader says some hard shit like, it's not your clothing. Like, or some shit like that. It's so hard. But anyway, so he chokes him to death, and it's like the death scene for Russell is incredible Jude shit.
Yeah, we should probably read
this. Yeah,
because,
I don't know what page it's on, and I don't have the book in front of me. But
okay, this is chapter 17, so give me just a minute here. I don't have this, like, marked. But, like, it's this character who, like, we've just met. And
had one scene with them.
Mm-hmm, and then we feel terrible. Wait, maybe this was chapter 18.
I think it starts with his name, like, Russell.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, man, this goes on for a while here. Okay. This is on page 120. Russell Wake had always tried to stay out of politics. He was fortunate to live on Bellassa, for it made it easy, at least before the Clone Wars. Rulers were elected, and the normal ebb and flow of scandal and missed opportunities, corruption, and grandstanding was easy to ignore. Even when the Clone Wars began, he found himself able to avoid taking a position. He couldn't get excited about fighting separatists, for they were fighting for a Senate that was riddled with greed and corruption. Who could say they were wrong? Then the Empire took over, and suddenly everything he valued in his life was thrown away. The Emperor turned his stone-gray gaze on Bellassa and deemed it worthy of conquest and example. He wanted to install a governor, and the Bellassans objected, and once that objection registered as solid opposition, the Empire had to come down on them. They underestimated the opposition, and though he tried to keep out of it, Russell Wake's old heart was stirred. Freedom became more of a concept to him. It was a reality as firm as the turbo rake he held in his hands. All right, now I'm going to jump ahead a little bit, so that's kind of where he stands. And so we're going Vader. We're at this thing. So suddenly Russell felt an odd constriction in his throat. His hand flew up to loosen his tunic. "It's not your clothing," Vader said. The constriction grew, and he was choking out breath now. It wasn't as though Russell's life flashed before his eyes. It wasn't as though he remembered everything from birth until this moment. He thought of his wife. He thought of his daughter. He thought of the courage he thought he didn't have. And suddenly, there it was in his hands. Courage and defiance and pride. "I have nothing to tell." He stared at the black visor, heard the rushing sound of Vader's breath. He felt an emptiness, as if the creature so casually choking the life out of him had no feelings whatsoever. He closed his eyes so that he could block out the merciless void. Instead, he pictured things that nourished him, his garden, his wife, his daughter. He was traveling down a rushing tunnel of blacks, shooting sparks out of his fingers, in his heels. No pain now. He just wished someone could know this. He found his courage in the end.
Oh. Masterpiece. She is so good at death scenes. There is no one better in Star Wars, like, literature. I feel like she's the best. So
I agree.
Obviously...
And something else in that like I've liked that she's been doing is her focus on Vader's breath. she mentions Vader's breath so much, like when he enters a room, and just like it sets that tone so much.
It must be
of,
so
like,
disconcerting for people. Like,
oh yeah.
So yeah, no, it's wild. Like because it's like even like in the real world, if you hear like some sort of breathing apparatus, you're not. Like if somebody has that, it's not a person you're typically intimidated by. So it's like it's an especially like unnerving sense because it's like this person who's barely alive, but who could take you out in a second. You know, It's wild. Anyway, so at this point, they do find Trevor, Ferris, and Roan, and Donna's there also. They do find Trevor, and Ferris is like, my guy, you got to take this and you got to get out of here and get off the planet. Like, I promise we'll see each other again, but like, we need at least one person to go. And
I'll read this, okay?
And then
so this on page 125. Yeah. Okay. He raced down the last hallway, turning to the door where Roan and Amy waited. He skidded to a halt. I guess it's Amy, not Donna, with them. Skidded to a halt. Darth Vader stood between him and his friends. Vader didn't turn. Ah, Olin has joined us. Perhaps he can explain what these thieves are doing here. I was asked by the Emperor to keep an eye on security here, Ferris said, improvising. Vader wouldn't be able to check until later, and later Ferris would be back underground or off-planet, if it worked. I could take them into custody, he said. Vader half-turned. Don't you think I recognize Roan Lands? Do you think I'd be foolish enough to let him take you away? He's a former associate, yes, but... It happened before another word could get out, faster than an eye blink, faster than he had seen anyone move before, anyone except Yoda. The lightsaber hadn't been there. Then it was, and then the lightsaber was a blur. Vader moved without seeming to move, and the lightsaber slashed into Roan, straight into his chest, straight into his heart. Roan fell to his knees. At first pain filmed his gaze, but he didn't flinch. He just looked at Ferris, looked long and hard, and said many things in the space of a second. Don't give yourself away from me. So, that's... I'll keep going. Amy cried out and knelt to support Roan. Ferris ran forward and caught him as he fell. He didn't care about his cover. He didn't care about Roan's warning. He only knew the remarkable pain he felt. Roan reached out for Ferris's forearm, his fingers slipping off. Ferris picked up Roan's hand and placed it on his own arm. Then he put his other hand on Roan's other arm in their private greeting, their private farewell. He squeezed Roan's arm, wishing he could pass his strength into him. He had seen death. He had seen enough of death to know it was too late. Farewell, brother, he whispered. He felt Roan's spirit lift, and he felt it fly away. And he was alone. So alone that there was no thought, only rage so black it blotted out everything else. He launched himself at Darth Vader with his lightsaber in hand.
Alright, so, this was shocking to me. I was not expecting this.
Nor was I.
Frankly, I was like, okay, well, this book feels like it's building towards, like, kind of the, like, all the heroes getting together at the end, and the kind of final crescendo for, like, the last 3 books. That's what I thought was about to happen. And so, like, to have Roan taken out like this was genuinely shocking and heartbreaking.
I think what made it even more shocking was Russell. Killing Russell within the same chapter, because she doesn't put a second chapter there. She puts like a break in that same chapter, and for her, because you suddenly you care for Russell, and then but like you never expect Roan like out of nowhere like that.
So yeah, this is terrible. Ferris tries to fight Vader. Vader quickly subdues him, and he's taken into custody, Ferris. Amy...
she's taken into custody, too,
She's also taken into custody. And then Trevor returns to the 11, and he reports the news, what's going on, and obviously everybody's devastated about Roan's death. But basically, like, he says... Flame is there, Oh, by the way, we didn't mention this earlier. Roan, when after he made the plan with Ferris for the raid on the factory, like he went to talk to the rest of the 11, and Flame was there talking to them about consolidating all these rebellions, and Roan's just like all due respect, but like OG 11 only, get out of here. And she's just like, I can help you. And Trevor's like, she can help. And he's just like, I'm sure she can, but like, this is sensitive right now. We don't know anything about this person yet. So get the fuck out. So anyway, whatever. That's beside the point. Then, when Trevor returns after Roan's death, reports that he's like, okay, well, what do I need to do now? I need to go back to Coruscant and meet up with the rest of the people. And so Flame's like, okay, I'll give you a ride. So she takes Trevor back to Coruscant, and this goes back to yes.
Mm-hmm.
And
the thing with Astri.
Loon has been taken by the stormtroopers, and by the time Trevor arrives on Coruscant, they've discovered that Loon has been enrolled at the Imperial Naval Academy. If you remember, where Sana Saro is. Is working with the Inquisitors to find Force-sensitive children. So that's crazy. That's fucked up. Astri is like, I don't know. I need to go. And then Trevor steps up and is like, well, why don't I enroll in the academy? That's how we'll do this. Like, you can't go. And so that's how that's clearly going to be the next book. We're going to be working with that. And then the final stuff with Ferris. So Ferris is imprisoned, and he is feeling as you imagine he might feel, and then he thinks he hears Obi-Wan in his head. And so, like, Obi-Wan's like, think about, like, Vader's fighting technique, all this stuff. Like, so he starts thinking about Vader's fighting technique, and he realizes it confirms his previous suspicions that Vader is a former Jedi. And he's trying to remember, like, okay, is Vader... like, was he a master? Like, it couldn't have been anybody I knew because everybody I know is dead. And, like, so could it be, like, a long-lost master or something like that? And the fighting is too advanced for it to be a Padawan, all this stuff. So he's thinking about all this. And then Sheev comes into the room. And Sheev tells him, listen, I know, like, you must feel how you must feel. You must feel so much conflict within you. And listen, I can show you the power over life and death.
He tells him that he gives him almost the same speech he gives Anakin.
Yeah.
And that he also tells him that, like, you could be the greatest Jedi.
Yeah.
Like, is one of the things. And I can teach you how to be that. Like, so.
And so you're like, okay, Ferris, he's feeling this conflict. And what does he do? He makes what seems to be, anyway, the same choice Anakin makes. Because he's in deep grief. At least this time, the person is already dead. Anakin, like, come on, my guy.
Yep.
But, so that's how the book ends. Is like him accepting, like, I want to learn more. Give me your training.
Yep.
I submit myself to your teachings. That's how the book ends.
That's how the book ends, with an apparent turn to the dark side there.
With thunderous applause.
With thunderous applause. And so this book ends with another dark ending. One thing I do see in my notes here: when they were in the factory, one of the things they discovered when they were going through, like all the files, a notes being sent to somebody, a ZA, and Ferris goes, I can only know one person with those initials, Jenna Zan Arbor, ZA. So remember, she is not dead; she is still alive. So and now, what we got going in the next book? We got Trevor in the Imperial Academy. We got Bog. Bog's got his son back, so we have that whole thing going on. And then we got Hydra. We got Ferris on the dark side. Like, is it just me, or is this like the end of this book? Does it feel like it's building to the end of the Jude verse?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. There's so much stuff going on, and I think she clearly knew the series was coming to an end, and this is probably the last. I mean, we all know that she apparently also is Alex Wheeler, and that Rebel Force is written by Jude Watson. But that I doubt has any real tie-in to this.
Right, because like it's after A New Hope, it's that little gray area there, and if she wanted it to be connected to that universe too, like to all those established characters that she has, she'd put her name on it. It seems like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we are definitely building to a conclusion here, and I am very, very excited for
Heading towards number 10, Reckoning.
Yeah, and this is a first. I mean, I think last time we did this, it was a first, but this is the third Last of the Jedi book in a row I'm going to give a Conceived in Midi-chlorians to.
Yeah, absolutely. 3 in a row. This series is incredible. I was like, I don't know why I was nervous about it. I think we had a...
Well, we didn't love Ferris in Jedi Quest. Like,
right.
he wasn't who he is here, but she's fleshed the character out enough that we care so much about her. And I'm going to say, too, that like I already like this series better than Jedi Quest. I think it's a better series than Jedi Quest.
Jedi Quest. 100% better than that series. We'll talk about it in comparison to Jedi Apprentice when we finish up with Book 10 in a little while. But this series has been incredible. And I am like very... By the way, let's announce it now. Why don't we do, after we finish Last of the Jedi, we've been talking about wanting to do a listener mail episode.
Okay. Oh, yeah,
why don't we do that plus like a wrap-up of the series?
I like that.
Something like that. Because for the previous 2 Jude series, we have done like wrap-up
We've always done it,
so
yeah, that's a great, that's a very good episode. We will do that.
So send your stuff in.
We've already got a couple questions. So.
That's a good transition. Send your stuff in. You can do it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, direct message, all that. Or email us.
Gmail. Yeah, Padawan Library at Gmail.
PadawanLibrary@gmail.com. You can comment on the YouTube thing, but I don't think either of us look at that.
No, we don't. And I apologize. We get some interaction on Twitter, and I use this to save time. I use this app that can post on Twitter and Facebook simultaneously for me, so I don't have to like go to each one.
Yeah.
So I don't check the Twitter that often, but I do, and when I do, I try to interact there. So, but yeah, you can send your questions there.
Yeah, but the email's the best option. Email and private message on Facebook are probably the two that'll guarantee that we'll see it.
Yes.
So get that to us over the next few weeks. Next week, we're still in Last of the Jedi. What's this next one called?
The next one is called Against the Empire.
Against the Empire.
Against the Empire. And Obi-Wan is on the cover of this, so I am interested to see how Obi-Wan plays into this. So
yeah, we'll see. I hope. But yeah, so we got that, and then we got another Galaxy of Fear, and then the last 2... Last of the Jedi. So we got about a month left for Last of the Jedi. This is a month left for the Jude verse, man.
I'm excited. I'm so excited to see how these books end. So we know Bail Organa's coming up in a future book.
Yes.
So
yes.
Obviously,
Master of Deception. Oh my God. All right. Well, this is all very exciting. So stay tuned to us the next few weeks. We're coming up on some monumental shit here.
Yes, we are.
For our podcast, I would say. So, all right. So, yeah.
Yep. Until the books are due back.
The library is closed.
Padawan Library is hosted and produced by Tim May and Levi Peretic. It is edited by Tim May. Our theme song is by the Astral Project. Our artwork is by Freddie Funbuns. Copyright 2020, Tim May and Levi Peretic, all rights reserved.